Welcome to a play-by-play review. I am your host, Henry, and just to get this out of the way real quick, I am a little sick. I have some kind of cold. I'm not really sure what, but I'm a little stuffy. My throat is not super scratchy, but I'm going to try and make this episode pretty quick. Definitely quicker than my usual ones, just because I don't want to be straining my voice all that much. And also probably will not be another episode this week again. Last week I didn't get around to doing an episode just because I had a lot of stuff going on personally that I couldn't get around to really recording over the weekend, which was a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then obviously this week it's I'm a little sick and I don't really want to record more than I have to because it's not fun, Well, more so, it's not fun speaking when I have a stuffy nose, and it also just doesn't sound great. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, with that, we move on to week 4 of the NFL, the actual content of this episode. And this is one where it's nothing really makes sense anymore. Well, most things don't make sense anymore. There's like every narrative I felt like from week 1, or like 90% of them, you can just throw out the window by now. Except for the fact that this is the year of the wild special teams plays. Like we have more blocked field goals, blocked extra points. We had punt return touchdowns. It's like if something is going to go wrong or go weird on special teams this year, it's happening right now. So we'll jump straight into the Thursday night games. The Seahawks went into Arizona. Arizona had their new, I don't know exactly what they call it, but they're like new alternate uniforms, and they like painted the end zones with like this cool sunset pattern as well, which is pretty nice. The Seahawks defeated the Cardinals 23-20 in what was for a while kind of a boring game, to be honest. Like it was just kind of all Seattle to start until the final quarter where the Cardinals almost came back and won and then didn't. But it got close, but for a while it was just kind of like going almost how people expected. The Seahawks are starting to get pretty good after they lost week 1 against the Niners, and it was on a very close game against the Niners, and ever since they've been playing pretty solid football. They're 3-1 right now. The Cardinals are 2-2 after losing this game, and it was the Cardinals. Their 2 wins were against, I believe, it was Carolina and New Orleans in the first 2 weeks, so it's not too impressive, to be honest. They're Carolina and New Orleans are probably going to be 2 of the bottom 5 teams at the end of the season with how they're playing so far. So yeah, I mean, credit to the Cardinals for fighting back in this one without James Conner for the rest of the season, as he had last week. He had his nasty leg injury, and this is one where, to start, you had Arizona was just reinforcing narratives. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. started out looking really poor. Like he was giving up on routes. He had some bad drops, and it was just awful all around. But then Harrison did catch a touchdown pass late in the game that seemed to really bolster him. Like he was clearly very emotional after he caught that touchdown pass in the end zone, and hopefully that will lead to him being not terrible as he was to start the season. It probably will. I think he just has too much talent to really be in this kind of funk that he's in. And so, with this touchdown now, I think it did kind of seem to bolster his spirits. But overall, it was one where Seahawks, I mean, division games are always a toss-up. You can never really predict them, but it's just try not to give your fans a heart attack in the fourth quarter next time. That would be nice. Just close out the game normally instead of having to take it all the way down to the wire. But they got the win. They're 3-1. They beat a division rival. So it's not much you can really complain about that. So on to Sunday, and we actually have the first of the international games. The Vikings and the Steelers played in Dublin, Ireland. Sorry for that terrible, stuffy Irish impression. So Dublin, Ireland, the first NFL game in Dublin. I believe there was a college, or the past 2 seasons have had college games in Dublin. But Yeah, it was first time the NFL has gone to the what was it, the Emerald Isle, I think is what they call it. Anyway, the Steelers defeated the Vikings 24-21, and similar to the Seahawks Cardinals game, it was one where the Steelers were pretty much in control for most of the game up until like the last 10 minutes when the Vikings made a furious comeback and almost won. I'm going to take a drink right here. And that is a drink of water. But yeah, it was the Vikings were down like 21-6 by the fourth quarter, and it was just all Steelers. Like Carson Wentz was having a bad game. The Steelers pass rush was absolutely feasting. Aaron Rodgers had a okay game. He did a nice pass to DK Metcalf, who housed it from 80 yards. So there was that. DK had his first big touchdown as a Steeler, like big long touchdown as a Steeler. Kenneth Gainwell for the Steelers with the injured Jalen Warren. He had an absolute monster game. He had 19 carries on 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. So could see him take over that lead role if he continues to produce like that. But it just for most of the game, it was just kind of Steelers were in control and weren't really letting up. Like their Vikings had a lot of injuries on their O line, and it was just like it was rough to watch. But then the Vikings stormed back. Jordan Addison had a big catch that almost housed for a touchdown. Jordan Addison back from his 3-game suspension, but he got caught by a linebacker of all people. I think the Vikings did convert eventually, but it was still like, it was probably should have housed it. But it was in the end, Steelers football reigns supreme. Like whatever black magic they have going on, that it just makes people not play like teams just play like bad football. It still reigns supreme. Steelers are 3-1, and they might have the inside track to the division at this point. I'll get to the Ravens and all three of the other teams here in a sec. But I mean, they're leading division. They're 3-1, and yeah, this could be interesting. We could see a Steelers home playoff game here in 2026, which is kind of wild. Next up, in the proper 1 o'clock slate, the Commanders went into Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Without Jane Daniels, without Terry McLaurin, without Noah Brown, without John Bates, all in the offense. So it was, as a Commanders fan, I was expecting the offense to struggle, given that the Falcons had a pretty good defense. Like their pass defense is like one of the best in the league. I was not expecting the Commanders defense to put up a wet fart, is the best I can describe it. The Falcons were coming off a shutout loss to the Panthers, and they proceeded to put up 34 points in a 34-27 win. Michael Penix had a really good game. Drake London had a really good game. The Commanders' defense was just awful, and like pretty much every level. Like Marshawn Lattimore's looked really bad so far in the season. Mikey Sainristil's also looked really bad. Trey Amos is like the one guy that's like, you're fine. It's the I want to say it's the Krusty Krab meme, or like where it's, I was about to say Patrick, but that's not. Why am I blanking on Mr. Krabs? I don't know why I was blanking on his name, but he's like he's shoving everyone out of the Krusty Krab. Get out, but he keeps the one guy. That's like that one guy is Trey Amos on the Commanders defense. He's been good, but yeah, it was bad all around. It's not entirely true. Like Javon Kinlaw and Deron Payne are also playing well, but you get the point. It's not looking good so far. I think it's more of a coaching issue and like a scheme issue rather than just a player issue, where it's like I don't know. It's tough overall. Like these guys clearly have a lot of talent on defense, but it's like a lot of the plays you'd see is like there's not a lot of variety. The pass rush isn't getting home, and the secondary is just like seems to be in like the wrong spot every time. Commanders were missing like both of their starting safeties, I believe, at this point. Quan Martin and Will Harris is out for an extended period of time. I'm pretty sure Quan Martin was injured. So it was Percy Butler and Jeremy Reeves, and then also Darnell Savage taking most of the reps at safety, which is not the best. I like Jeremy Reeves a lot, but he's more of a special teams guy than a safety. But yeah, it was the short answer. It was very rough for the Commanders' defense. Their offense actually didn't play bad. I wish they ran the ball a lot more. There's just not a lot of design run plays, which is disappointing for like one of the best rushing offenses in football through 4 weeks. So I hope the Commanders scheme gets better as the season goes on. And then, yeah, just as a Commanders fan, I don't like losing. I really don't like losing when I have to go online and see so many people just like have the worst takes possible online. So it's just so annoying. But yeah, that's that. For the Falcons, great bounce back win against a tough opponent, even if they are missing a lot of key starters on offense. And yeah, this is, I think, what the Falcons team, like, offensively they want to look like. Defensively, it wasn't their best game by any means of them. But offensively, it was. This is what the Falcons want to look like. I mean, good, like a good combination, like balanced passing and rushing attack. So next up is the Carolina Panthers going into Gillette Stadium to take on the New England Patriots, and this was about as one-sided as it gets. The Patriots won 42-13 in a game that was just never close. Patriots special teams really took the ball and ran with it early with a punt return touchdown, nearly two actually. The offense was playing pretty well. TreVeyon Henderson finally had a touchdown. He had a pretty solid game. Stephon Diggs had his first 100-yard game as a Patriot. So it was just like on every level for the Patriots, they were just completely outplaying the Panthers, which is for a Patriots team that had a really rough start in the for the season. It's like it's the Panthers, so there's that. But like, it's a very good sign for things to come if they can, correct a lot of their issues and like really start to improve on all sides of the ball. As for the Panthers, yikes. I don't want to say the season's lost, but I'm getting pretty close to saying the season's lost because they're not really showing the outside of the Atlanta game where it's like Bryce Young seems to always play Atlanta well and like no one else. Bryce in this Panthers offense is not showing a lot of improvements, and that's really worrisome. So I don't want to write Bryce Young off yet because like look at what he did in the second half of last year, but it's veering into that stretch was more of a fluke than a trend. So something is going to need to change in the Panthers organization. I don't know what it is going to be, but like if they want this current team to succeed under Bryce Young, something's got to change because whatever's going on right now is not working. I'm not saying a coaching change, but like, because I don't mind Dave Canales as a head coach, but like they need to do something because right now it's just looking like another nosedive of a season. So next up is the Saints going into Buffalo to take on the Bills. The 0-3 Saints going on to take the 3-0 Bills. And while the Bills won 31-19, it was a game where the Saints played them close for most of the for most of it. I think there's a point where the Saints actually took a lead in the third quarter. They eventually lost the lead and lost the game, but like for an 0-4 team, it's like they put up a lot of fight for the most part. But like I was very impressed that the Saints even made this a game. Because I've said this whole season that I don't think the Saints are very good. I just don't think they have a lot of talent on either side of the ball. And I mean, going toe to toe with one of the best teams in the league is even if you come out with a loss, you have a lot of good things to take away from. I think Spencer Rattler doesn't look terrible. I don't think he looks great, but like he's serviceable. They just need. It's clearly a rebuilding year, and even if that's the case, it's like showing that you can put up a fight against one of the best teams in the league is definitely a good thing. And I think that's really like the one takeaway Saints fans should probably have in this, because it's like the season's probably going to be a wash anyway. So just take the good when you can. As for the Bills, I mean, it shouldn't have been this close, but I mean, hey, Josh Allen still looks amazing. Khalil Shakir looks really good. James Cook looks really good. So yeah, just take the win and run. You're 4-0, leading the division, and yeah, it's this is a Bills team that might clinch the division by like week 10 with how the rest of the teams in the division are playing. So it's take the wins where you can get them, and you're 4-0, can't really complain. Next up is the Cleveland Browns coming off a huge win against the Green Bay Packers, going into Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions, and whatever magic they had in Green Bay, it disappeared. Because the Browns scored one touchdown, I think, on their opening drive, and then just kind of rolled over and died. They lost 34-10, and it was not pretty. Joe Flacco, if they keep starting him, they're just going to keep losing games. He's not looked good, to say the least. They might need to put in Dylan Gabriel here if they want to win. I guess that's the big question. It's if they want to win, Dylan Gabriel's probably a better bet, because Joe Flacco, he has no magic left. His elite status is being revoked as we speak. That's not true. Joe Flacco is always elite, but it's Flacco goes 16 of 34 for 184 yards and 2 interceptions. It's not good. Aiden Hutchinson was having a day, and the Lions defense as a whole was having a day. I think the death of the Lions offense was greatly exaggerated after week 1. They're looking fine, especially against a really good defense in the Cleveland Browns. Maybe the Browns defense isn't the greatest thing in the world. I don't know. Again, narratives just do not exist anymore. It's week to week could be something completely different. It was. I think that's all I can really say about this game. It was Browns bad, Lions good. Lions are 3-1. Browns are 1-3. I think Lions fans are pretty happy at the moment, especially with how some of the other games went in this week. And speaking of narratives having literally no weight, the Chargers, 3-0 Chargers going into MetLife Stadium to take on the 0-3 Giants. In Jackson Dart's first ever start. Dart taking over for the benched Russell Wilson. And of all things, the Giants would win 21-18 somehow. I still have no idea how they won. And this, by the way, was with Malik Neighbors tearing his ACL like a third of the way through the game. Which is awful. Like, please burn MetLife Stadium to the ground, because it's like that and FedEx Field are like the two worst stadiums, I feel like, when it comes to injuries. So yeah, it's not good. Joe Alt for the Chargers also went down, so I think that's actually kind of a big reason why the Chargers lost, is that they obviously don't have Rashawn Slater because he is missing the whole season with an injury. And now Joe Alt is also injured for an extended period of time. I think a couple weeks, maybe it might be a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprain, I think is what I saw. So he might be out for like 4 to 6 weeks. But it's an offensive line that's anchored by its 2 all-star tackles. And now that they've lost both of them, it's kind of rough. And especially going up against a Giants team where its strength is clearly its pass rush, it was kind of a recipe for disaster. With that being said, the Chargers offense had some bright spots. Quentin Johnson still is amazing somehow. Amarian Hampton had his first really good game, 12 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. So it's yardage-wise, their Chargers had some good performers, but they just couldn't wrench the lead from the Giants no matter what, which was a little surprising. Dart played fine. He wasn't lighting up the scoreboard. He had some good rushes, but he was kind of more of a game manager than a gunslinger. But hey, if it's gonna net you wins, especially against a 3-0 team, go right ahead. Do what you need to do, Jackson Dart. Ooh, yeah, that voice cracks are gonna be a thing with this cold that I have. But yeah, TLDR, Jackson Dart, he got his first win. Didn't turn the ball over, so at least I don't think he did. And yeah, it was. I mean, sucks that that Malik Neighbors is done. But hey, I mean, Jackson Dart didn't look horrible in his first start, so there's a silver lining there at least for the Giants fans. Switching over NFC East teams to the Eagles going into Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, battle of the 3-0 teams. Eagles would take the lead early in this game. They basically dominated the first half. They were up 24-6 by the end of halftime. And while they would completely shut down in this second half, they would still win 31-25. It was just that first half deficit was too much. But so, okay, I'll try not to sound like an Eagles hater here. I was very impressed with how they played in the first half. They looked very good, especially against Tampa Bay, which has always been their kryptonite in this like Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni era. I was very impressed with how they played in the first half. On both sides of the ball, they were just their offense was cooking, their defense was shutting down a high-powered Tampa Bay offense. It was good on all levels. Then the second half came, and I don't know what happened in like the coaching booth, but they just decided to like not do anything on offense. I think they called 8 passing plays, in which Jalen Hurts completed none of them in the second half, which is not good to say the least. It is a fact that's awful. How they won the game doing that, I have no idea. But yeah, so from what I can say of the Eagles is that be happy you won because it could have been really bad. The Bucs, it's like they just got to figure out how to not show up so flat in the first half against the Eagles next time because that was a rough half to watch. But a story to watch though is that AJ Brown, Eagles star wide receiver, has been posting some cryptic-ish like posts on his social media, basically saying that he's unhappy that he's not getting the ball, pretty much because he had like 2 catches this game. So I think it's going to lead to anything major? Probably not. I highly doubt it. But it's a thing to watch where this is an Eagles offense that outside of a few quarters, really, it's like passing wise, it's been very dormant. And I mean, I get where AJ Brown's coming from, where it's like he's basically just been a non-factor in most games. Like he's barely been making a presence. I mean, like obviously you don't need to catch the ball to make a presence. Like you can just be there and like defenders will have to cover you. Like you have to game plan for them. But like for a guy that's like been a star wide receiver the past few years on a very high powered offense, I get it. It's like he's done very little so far. And, wide receivers do tend to be kind of diva-ish. So, and I mean, not that saying wanting the ball more is like a diva thing, but like, I mean, it's also their Eagles are 4-0 and they've won every single game and they're Super Bowl champions. So it's like, I feel like you can only complain so much if you're on the Eagles. Next up, another game I can go through pretty quickly here. The Tennessee Titans went into Houston to take on their division rivals. Both teams without a win at this point, which is crazy that the Texans were 0-3 coming into this game. And speaking of offers, the Titans put up a solid 0 points. Texans won with 26 points, 20 of them coming in the fourth quarter. This was a game that, again, it was a game that happened. It was like there was just nothing going on for most of it. It was it was just boring to watch. There was nothing going on. I mean, the Texans O-line was better overall. It wasn't great, but it was better. The Titans really need to get rid of Brian Callahan because he is like committing coaching malpractice at this point with how poorly of a job he's doing. It was rough for the Titans to say the least. For the Texans, it was more like they looked fine. It took them a little while to like really get going, but I mean, hey, they beat their division rival. They got their first win of the season. I think it was Jaden Higgins, one of their two rookie wide receivers out of Iowa State that they drafted this year. He got his first touchdown. And yeah, it's their Willie Marks, their I think rookie running back. I think he's a rookie. He's a running back. I think he's a rookie. He had a good game, so it's silver linings. Texans, they won the game. Their offense played better, and their defense played really well. So can't really complain there. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts traveling into Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And it was a battle between the 3-0 Colts and the 2-1 Rams. And I don't think anyone was expecting that coming into the season. The Rams would defeat the Colts 27-20. Let me take another sip real quick. And it was one where Daniel Jones finally came down to earth, where he threw a couple of interceptions. But the biggest thing for the Colts here were a couple self-inflicted miscues. Two big ones, both by Adonai Mitchell. The first was that he caught an amazing pass, like on a deep ball from Daniel Jones. Had basically a free run into the end zone, and was like, I guess, starting to showboat. Started transferring the ball in his hands, and the ball basically popped out of his hands, and he fumbled it into the back for a touchback. Instead of scoring it like a 70-yard touchdown pass, which was not good to say the least. That is not ideal. And then later on, Jonathan Taylor would break off like a 50-plus yard touchdown run, but it got called back for holding on Adonai Mitchell. So, yeah. And so even though the Colts lost and definitely looked worse than they had been, it was partly due to self-inflicted injuries that are clearly correctable. I mean, I don't think the Adonai Mitchell fumble is happening again anytime soon. I mean, we said that last year with Jonathan Taylor, but it happens again this year. But like, I doubt like that kind of gaffe is happening again. So that's like you're not expecting that kind of mishap to happen. And I mean, they lose to a good team in the Rams, and they lost only by one score. So it's not like the Colts are getting blown out and the magic's over. It's like obviously losing sucks, but it's a loss where it's like you can say we can get him back next week. We're not done in the slightest. As for the Rams, good solid win. Puka Nacua might be the best wide receiver in the league at the moment. This game alone, 13 catches, 170 yards and a touchdown. Like he's having a season for the ages through 4 weeks. Stafford's still looking really good. It seems like his injuries are not holding him back all that much. So it was overall good win for the Rams. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars going into San Francisco, California to take on the Niners. And let me just make sure I didn't forget anything in my notes first, which I don't think I did. Nope, I did not. I think it was just that some of my notes were short because some of the games were really boring. This game was not boring, though, the Jags-Niners. Jags would win 26-21. Brock Purdy was back in this game. But like everyone else basically got injured. I think Purdy got injured again, or at least he's injured again in practice. So we might not see him in this Thursday night game coming up in week 5. Ricky Pearsall got injured. I don't think he's out long term, but like basically everyone except for Christian McCaffrey on the offense is getting injured. Jawan Jennings is dealing with injury. So it's rough for the Niners, to say the least. As for the Jags, their rushing attack has suddenly become really good. Travis Etienne has just had a revitalization of his career under Liam Cohen. The passing attack is fine, which I don't necessarily know if Jags want a Trevor Lawrence-led passing attack with Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., and De'Ami Brown, and I think Christian Kirk as well. Christian Kirk might be on at that point, but there's like a Trevor Lawrence-led passing offense with a lot of weapons to like be as mediocre as it is not great. But I mean, hey, their rushing attack is winning them games. They're 3-1 at the moment, so I mean that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Their defense though was playing insanely well. Devin Lloyd was on a tear this game for the Jags, and I mean, if this team is going to, be built on the rushing attack and their defense, like a turnover prone defense, it's not bad. Not bad in the slightest. I think it's just for how much hype Trevor Lawrence has had over his career, and how much, like, how talented the wide receiver room is. I think they want more there, but it can't really complain with how their team's playing at the moment, winning games the way they are. I feel like you can never go wrong with a good rushing attack. And I certainly wouldn't complain with a good rushing attack. So, yeah, there's that. So, overall, for the Jags, there's definitely room for improvement, but overall, looking pretty solid so far. Their one loss being that, like, weird loss against the Bengals against Jake Browning, despite forcing him to throw 3 interceptions. I don't even know what happened there, but yeah, I mean, the Jags are looking pretty good. For the Niners, they're 3-1, but there's just so many injuries. I mean, they just got to hope to stay healthy, or as healthy as they can, because it's just so tough to deal with that many injuries, just again and again. As for the final afternoon game, which I will do after another sip of water here, the 1-2 Ravens going into Kansas City to take on the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs, which I don't think anyone was expecting both of these teams to be 1-2 coming into this game. And yeah, the Ravens are, it might start to be a little bit of a panic time here for the Baltimore Ravens. They lost 37-20 in a game that was just never close. They did not run the ball all that much, which is very confusing for a team that has Derrick Henry and then also Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell. And also Lamar Jackson. Like, again, if you go down early, you don't run the ball as much, but, like, you can at least try. Like, they barely used Derrick Henry at all. Lamar didn't have his best game. And he now is also dealing with a hamstring injury that's keeping him out for what seems to be like 2 to 3 weeks, which is not good, to say the least. But the bigger concerns for the Ravens are on their defense. 2 things I can say about the Ravens defense. 1, it's bad. It's like really bad. 2, it's also really injured. Like, I think it was Roquan Smith went down with an injury. Marlon Humphrey also went down with an injury in this game. Nnamdi Madubuike, who is like their superstar defensive tackle, who was out in this game. He was done with an injury either last week or the week before. He's going on season-ending IR. He's out for the season. Kyle Van Noy also wasn't playing in this game. He's injured, so it's like, yeah. I think Nate Wiggins also got injured in this game. It was like, I was talking with some of my friends today at work who are Ravens fans, and I think they said that 7 out of the 11 starters on defense have been injured, which is not ideal, to say the least. But even still, like, they just have, like, even when they've been healthy, they've been performing so poorly so far this season. And I get that they played Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City in their 3 of the first 4 weeks. Like that, those are 3 really tough offenses to defend against. Even if Kansas City is not quite as explosive as it was a couple years ago, it's still like, I'm not saying they had a cakewalk, but at the same time, this is a team that, for most of its identity, has prided itself on a strong defense, and it has plenty of good players. Kyle Hamilton being, the like almost the face of their defense in a sense, and they've just been so bad this year. I know a lot of people are really frustrated with Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator, and a lot of people are really frustrated with John Harbaugh as well. So yeah, I don't think it's going to get better for the Ravens, unfortunately, with Lamar Jackson probably out for a few weeks. But yeah, it's look away, Ravens fans. I would say you could watch the Orioles, but they have not been good either. So it's a rough couple of months here for Baltimore sports fans. As for the Chiefs, I mean, hey, they look more like their usual selves now. Pat Mahomes had a really good game. 4 touchdowns, 270 yards. So yeah, Chiefs might be back here. The early season slump might just be an early season thing. And if they keep playing like this, I mean, again, it's against a pretty bad Ravens defense, but if they can keep playing like this, I think the death of the Chiefs was greatly exaggerated. And I lied about that being the last of the afternoon games. The Bears Raiders was also an afternoon game. Bears going into Las Vegas to take on and eventually beat the Raiders 25-24 in just an absolute wild game. It was like interceptions, sacks. Geno Smith had a terrible game. Max Crosby had a great game. Ashton Jeanty finally had his breakout game as a Raider. Caleb Williams was okay. His offensive line was getting chewed up. Raiders, Colton Miller, they're like one good offensive lineman. He's out for a while with an injury. So it was rough for the Raiders. Kevin Byard, the Bears safety, he intercepted Geno Smith twice in this game. And even then, the Raiders had a chance to win it on a Daniel Carlson field goal, but it got blocked. So it's just another crazy special teams play. But it was for the Bears. I mean, it could have been a lot better, but they got the win. Definitely could have been a lot better. For the Raiders, his season's not looking good so far. Geno Smith has not looked good. Their offensive line does not look good either, but at least Ashton Jeanty looked good in this game, so you can count on that. I think that's the one silver lining they can take out of this, because everything else, not so much. Yeah. So now moving on to the actual Sunday night game. Packers going into not M&T Bank Stadium. That is the Ravens Stadium. AT&T Stadium. Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. And it was also the return of Micah Parsons to Dallas, and that was literally all anybody was talking about in the media. It was nothing else. It was just Micah Parsons coming back, and it was an interesting game. It took a bit to get going. Like the first half it took a minute. It looked like the Packers were going to pull away early after the first drive, but then things kind of stalled. But the Cowboys were really just not able to do much throughout the first half. The Packers scored in the second quarter to make it 13-0. They lined up for an extra point, which then proceeded to get blocked and returned for 2 points, it was like the first time it happened in like 20 or 30 years in the NFL. So it was 13-2 at that point. And then as the second quarter was winding down, I think it was the Cowboys scored a touchdown. And that was I think it was George Pickens catching just an insanely good deep ball by Dak Prescott. Then the Packers got it. Then Jordan Love got strip sacked. And then the Cowboys managed to score with 13 seconds left, another touchdown. So George Pickens had an insanely good game. Both offenses actually had an insanely good game. Romeo Doubs had 3 touchdowns, I'm pretty sure. George Pickens had 2. Dak and Jordan Love were both looking really good. Jordan Love did have, I think he threw an interception in this game. I'm pretty sure he threw an interception in this game. Either that or he had some bad passes, but overall he looked pretty good. Neither defense looked great. Micah Parsons was kind of a non-factor. He was pretty quiet in this game. He did have 1 sack in overtime. This game did go into overtime, and I have not said the score of the final score yet as we're getting to there, but it would eventually go into overtime 37-37 after an absolute shootout in the fourth quarter. Micah Parsons would get a sack on Dak Prescott on the 5-yard line to save a touchdown, which was huge. And Cowboys kicked a field goal. Green Bay eventually went down, kicked a field goal of their own right as time expired. So the game ended in a 40-40 tie, of all things, which is kind of disappointing. To quote Homer Simpson, they're both losers. Ties are kind of I don't know why the NFL still has them, but it was one where it was a slow first half, then the offense just kind of exploded in the second half, and then overtime they traded field goals to tie. So who wins the Micah Parsons trade? I don't know. I'd still say Green Bay, obviously, because the Cowboys have no pass rush, but this was supposed to be the game to decide it. who won the Micah Parsons trade, because it was obviously the two teams that were involved in it, and they tied. Come on, man. Is we don't like ties in this household. It's like just just do it like college. That would be so much more fun. Just play until there's a winner. Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of ties in the NFL, to say the least. So one more sip here. And we get to the Monday night doubleheader. Neither game was all that good. The first was the New York Jets going into Miami to take on the Miami Dolphins in their new, nearly all black uniforms, which was very odd. Because I kept on thinking because the Jets wore all, their white uniforms in this game, like white with green helmets. And it would always take me a minute to, adjust to the fact that the Dolphins were in black and the Jets were in white, because it's usually almost always the other way around. But in this one, the Dolphins went up early. Tua actually looked pretty good in this game. And the Dolphins went up early and just never relinquished the lead. The Jets had some fumbles in the game that really killed their momentum. Fields fumbled on the 3-yard line in the red zone on a run, which was it was, I think, on their first drive, which just completely stymied their momentum for most of this game. It was rough for the Jets. I mean, they came back late and started to make it a game, but overall it wasn't very good. Fields didn't have a great game, all things considered. He did have a really nice touchdown run it's 43 yards on a fourth and 1 that he ran in for a touchdown, which is impressive, but not quite what you want, to say the least. But another big story about this game, besides the fact that the Dolphins actually looked decent, was that Tyreek Hill's leg basically bent the wrong way on a tackle. I think the official word is that he has a dislocated knee. Not like a kneecap, like the entire knee. And he's out for the rest of the season. He says he's going to come back in 2026. I guess so, but that replay was brutal and disgusting. Legs are not supposed to bend that way, and I'm surprised he's going to be able to walk reliably again, because that's that was rough. For as much as Tyreek Hill isn't a good person, I don't wish that on anyone, because that's just awful. There's it was not good. So hopefully Tyreek can recover from that, because that was rough. Then the final game of the week was the Cincinnati Bengals going into Denver to take on the Broncos. And again, this is one where Bengals are without Joe Burrow due to his injury, his turf toe injury. So Jake Browning gets to start again. And, a lot of people were hoping that the Vikings game last week was a fluke, and that Browning would show a bit of that. What was it, 2023 magic, I think is what it was. 2022 or 23, I don't remember exactly. But when he was playing okay, when he had to fill in for Burrow before, the magic was not there in the slightest. The Bengals had some calls go against him. There's the whole center bobbing his head, causing a false start, when that's almost never called. But the score was 28-3. So I don't think you can really blame the penalties on all of that. The Bengals just are in a team without Joe Burrow at the moment. Their offensive line is really bad. I think paying T. Higgins was not the best move in hindsight. I don't even think it was the best move to do at the time. Jamar Chase I'm fine with, but also paying T. Higgins and really limiting your options because of paying T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow so much money makes it so finding quality offensive linemen is a lot harder. And outside of, I guess, Amarius Mims, but even then, it's he still needs time to develop. This Bengals team just does not have much going for it. I thought their defense, honestly, didn't play horribly. 28 points is not great, but everyone's been clowning on the Bengals defense, or the Bengals for just not having a defense because they have no money to invest in it. But they were playing okay. They seemed to stop Bo Nix on occasion, which is more than I think people were expecting. It wasn't a complete blowout. It was just that the offense could do literally nothing. And that's the unfortunate thing for the Bengals is that Jake Browning the defenses and coaches have solved what he can do, and he's not been able to readjust. He has offered nothing to show that he is capable of leading an NFL offense in 2025. He like putting up three. I mean, I get the Broncos defense is difficult. Like they're a good defense, but like they just could do nothing at all. And I wouldn't be terribly surprised if the Bengals looked to like trade a late round pick for a better backup quarterback than what they have now. Because presumably they want to, stay in win mode and not just start tanking because, that's just not a good look. But overall, it was rough, to say the least. It was not a fun game to watch. That's it for week 4. Sorry this episode is not longer, but obviously I would go into a bit more detail in some of these, and I mean, actually let me look at my recorder. So I mean, it's 46 minutes, so it's not short, but like super short, but most of my recaps are like a little bit above an hour, so I could certainly go into more detail, but obviously I'm sick and I don't want to be stressing my voice too much. I'm surprised it's like lasted as well as it has this long. But thank you very much for listening. Next episode is almost certainly going to be the week 5 recap, just because unless I suddenly get better in the next few days, which I highly doubt, I'm probably just going to wait till next week to record again, just to, preserve my voice as best as I can. So again, thank you for listening. I hope you tune in next time to week 5 and hope you all have a good day.